The Online Student.
Original content specially designed for the May 2026 examination session. IB Economics SL and HL, Paper 2. Question.
Yemen. Text A. Yemen's recent economic performance. Paragraph 1. Yemen is a low-income economy on the Arabian Peninsula, with a population of around 34 million people and a very low GDP per capita by global standards. The country has experienced years of conflict, repeated political instability, and weak institutions, which have severely constrained long-term economic growth, damaged infrastructure, and disrupted basic services.
Paragraph 2. Real GDP contracted in 2023 and is projected to contract further in 2024, following only modest growth in 2022, reflecting the impact of oil export blockades, high transport costs, and fragile security conditions. Yemen's nominal GDP remains low at about $19 billion in 2024, and real GDP per capita has fallen by more than half since 2015, from $1,549 in 2015 to $821 in 2024, leaving the majority of Yemenis in poverty and highly food insecure. Paragraph 3. Inflation has been volatile and highly differentiated across regions, driven by exchange rate depreciation, supply disruptions, and international food and fuel price shocks. In government-controlled areas such as Aden, consumer price inflation has remained elevated, above 8% since 2020, while some areas under different control have experienced episodes of disinflation or even falling prices. In Aden, the Yemeni rial has weakened sharply, raising import prices and eroding real incomes.
Paragraph 4. Yemen's economy remains heavily dependent on agriculture, small-scale manufacturing, and services, with limited high-value production. Agriculture provides livelihoods for a large share of the workforce, about 29%, and is highly vulnerable to climate shocks, while the manufacturing sector employs a smaller share of labor, about 6 to 7%, but has potential in food processing, textiles, and basic metal products if security and infrastructure improve. Text B. External position, trade and investment. Paragraph 5. Yemen runs a persistent current account and trade deficit as imports of food, fuel, and capital goods far exceed exports of crude oil, see Table 1, fish, and a small range of other primary products. The current account deficit widened to more than 18% of GDP in 2022 and almost 20% of GDP in 2023, reflecting the near halt of crude oil exports and continued dependence on imported basic goods.
Paragraph 6. The country relies heavily on external grants, remittances, and concessional financing to cover its external financing needs and support foreign exchange reserves. International partners, including multilateral institutions, have provided financial assistance and humanitarian aid to help preserve essential public services and stabilize the balance of payments. Although foreign direct investment, see Table 1, inflows remain very limited due to high risk and weak infrastructure.
Paragraph 7. Yemen is a member of the World Trade Organization, WTO, accession process, i.e. the application process to join the WTO as a member. While Yemen participates in some regional trade arrangements, conflict and security risks severely constrain the benefits from free trade agreements and deeper integration into global markets. Imports are often subject to delays, high transport and insurance costs, and complex procedures, while export capacity is limited by damaged ports, weak logistics, and periodic disruptions to shipping routes in the Red Sea. Paragraph 8. The national currency has faced strong depreciation pressures due to large external imbalances, loss of oil export revenues, and limited confidence in domestic institutions. The central bank has used its foreign exchange reserves and external financial support to smooth volatility and prevent a sharper depreciation, but policy options remain constrained by low reserves and the fragmented monetary system. Text C. Poverty, labor market, and human development. Paragraph 9. Yemen is among the poorest countries in the world, with a very low Human Development Index (HDI) score of 0.470 in the low human development category and ranked 184 out of 193 countries. Even before the current conflict started in 2014, nearly half the population lived in absolute poverty.
In 2024, this worsened to 70 to 80% of the population. Multidimensional poverty, food insecurity, and undernutrition have worsened markedly, especially in rural and conflict-affected areas.
Paragraph 10. Labor market conditions are extremely weak, with high overall unemployment and very high youth unemployment, see Table 1, alongside widespread underemployment and informal work. Many skilled and semi-skilled workers have emigrated in search of better opportunities, particularly to neighboring Gulf countries, leading to a loss of human capital, but also generating remittance inflows that support household consumption.
Paragraph 11. Years of underinvestment in education, health, transport, and energy infrastructure have constrained human capital formation and private sector development. Access to quality education and training is limited, especially for girls and rural communities, contributing to skill shortages and a mismatch between the skills of workers and the needs of domestic and foreign firms. Paragraph 12. Yemen's energy mix is still dominated by fossil fuels, with limited use of renewable energy sources such as solar and wind power, despite high potential for low-carbon technologies. Urban areas in particular suffer from severe air pollution linked to generators, low-quality fuels, and inefficient transport, creating negative externalities for health and the environment, and illustrating significant market failure in the energy sector. Table 1. Select macroeconomic indicators for Yemen. Note: Yemen's crude oil production in 2024 is negligible. It is nearly halted due to blockades and damage to the main government-controlled fields. Oil exports are close to zero. Table 2. Select development and inequality indicators for Yemen. Questions. A1. Define the term disinflation. Text A, paragraph 3. 2 marks. A2. Define the term negative externalities. Text C, paragraph 12. 2 marks. B1. Using the data in Table 1, calculate the approximate percentage change in Yemen's nominal GDP between 2020 and 2024. 2 marks. B2. Using the data in Table 1 and Table 2, calculate the number of people in Yemen living in poverty in 2024. 2 marks. B3. Using the data in Table 1, identify the year disinflation set in. 1 mark. C. Using an aggregate demand and aggregate supply diagram, explain how an increase in foreign grants and concessional financing that supports government spending on infrastructure and basic services, text B, paragraph 6, and text C, paragraph 11, could affect real GDP and the general price level in Yemen. 4 marks. D. Using a foreign exchange market diagram for the Yemeni rial, explain how a widening current account deficit, Table 1 and Text B, paragraph 5, could affect the exchange rate of the Yemeni rial against the US dollar. 4 marks. E. Using an externalities diagram, explain how dependence on fossil fuel generators and low-quality fuels in urban areas, Text C, paragraph 12, can lead to market failure due to negative externalities of production. 4 marks. F. Using a production possibilities curve diagram, explain how improvements in human capital and infrastructure, text C, paragraph 11, could contribute to long-term economic growth in Yemen. 4 marks. G. Using information from the text or data and your knowledge of economics, discuss the possible supply side and other policies that the Yemeni government and international partners could implement to promote economic growth and economic development, particularly in support of SDG 9, Industry, Innovation, and Infrastructure, and SDG 16, Peace, Justice, and Strong Institutions. 15 marks. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe.